Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the Off-Road Trench. Immediately after connecting the electricity and painting the walls, I began work on the site, on the land of the Off-Road Trench. But let's go back in time and see what land I'm talking about in general. In December 2022, I purchased a plot of 2,500 square meters. In May 2023, I moved there, set up a camp, and lived there until the construction of my small house in November. From May to November, I cut down 50% of the fruit forest and poisonous trees that grew there, making way for construction. Setting up a camp, clearing a plot, work of a tractor, building a prefabricated frame house, expense items. All of that you can find in the playlist step by step. I finished the building of the house box in January. Currently there is no floor, no water, no toilet, no refrigerator, and I sleep on the floor. Here is the house itself. Next to it there is a well, but it is unsuitable for use. That is why I don't have clean water yet, but I plan to use it to get water for technical needs. Here is a generator that heated the house before the electricity was connected. In the winter, I paid through nose for fuel. According to the operating rules, the generator must be stored in a special ventilated and insulated metal box. But such a box costs more than the generator itself, and I cannot afford it now. Maybe later I will weld it myself. Here are the toilet and shower. Here is the woodshed, which is constantly growing. Here is the fire pit I cooked food in before the electricity was connected. Of course, I still cook on fire sometimes, and if you are interested, I will post some videos of food I cook. And this big grey circle is a mountain of earth that I haven't sorted out and cleared of debris since September 2023. The soil here is fertile and rich, but it is contaminated with debris from the people who lived here before, so I need to clean up the land and preserve it for future plantings. High-quality soil takes decades to form and is very expensive. But to implement my plans, I need not 2,500 square meters, but 40,000 square meters. And I talked about this in my first videos. So in December 2023, I was able to rent another 7,500 square meters on very favorable terms. And I plan to buy this land later. By the way, I will be grateful for your support, including donations. First of all, donations will be spent to build a fence for planting a garden and protection from wild animals, since I live practically on the edge of the forest. Finally, this spring I was able to study the territory of the site more or less. I drew it schematically and placed some objects. As you understand, the green dots are trees, and the green circles are mature large trees. In fact, there are thousands and thousands of small trees, and it is impossible to get into this forest, and some places haven't even been explored. There were ruins of an old house on the site. It was disassembled into logs, and the logs themselves were folded here. There is also a well on the site, which I have been watching for a long time and where I plan to get water from. Perhaps there is a cellar or another foundation there, and I don't want to go there now because of the danger. In addition, in many places there is a lot of debris and very strong terrain. But anyway, I minimally cleared the area around the trees in order to prune them, and now fruits are ripening on them. I haven't gone to this forest yet, but I know for sure that this is a forest of poisonous trees, and they will all be cut down. I haven't explored this area yet either, but there is a hill with boulders. So far, the plans for this land are unclear, but the hill will have to be leveled. I started my work from this place and removed several old trees for several reasons. Firstly, they will never bear fruit. Some of them had long been eaten by ants. In some, bees, wasps, and gnats would begin to live once the weather warmed up. But some of the trunks were in excellent condition, so I decided to use trees from my site to make a staircase to my house. The trailer again played an important role, carrying almost a ton of wood. I took the wood to people who make wood products and furniture. Moreover, I gave the wood not only as a material for making the ladder itself, but also additionally took the wood as payment for the work. So the ladder cost me almost nothing in terms of money, not counting the cost of fuel for the car and chainsaw. The price for the ladder is indicated in the previous video about finance. There was an old, uninhabited house on the rented plot. I dismantled the house and other buildings adjacent to the house, a barn and a toilet, and stacked logs so that they were ventilated as much as possible. Here you can see another batch of scrap metal that I'm collecting to send to a recycling collection point. I carried out work on dismantling the house back in the fall of last year and this spring, until new vegetation emerged and the trees and shrubs had time to bloom. I collected as many old nails as possible, since any sharp objects mean at best a puncture in the tire of a car, trailer or wheelbarrow, and in the worst case, hospitalization with a nail in the foot and infection. Some of the logs have rotted because a young garden is growing very quickly around. I didn't even know that fruit trees grow so quickly. More than half rotted because there was no air movement due to the trees, but there was high humidity. It is wrong to store rotten wood together with dry wood, since rot and ants spread to healthy wood. So using a trailer was a logical and simple option, although not a cheap one. The preserved logs will later turn out to be the necessary material. As I said, my funds are very limited, and I still need to pay off debts. So the minimal needs, a fence, a septic tank, water, are not yet feasible. But I can do some other tasks, although they are not free or cheap. There is a huge fruit forest on the site, a forest of poisonous trees, and another forest I haven't explored yet. Therefore, my task for several months now have been cutting down old, dry, rotten trees. They take away nutrition from young trees. They shade the area. They contribute to the spread of moss and lichens. They are home to ants, bees, wasps, hornets, and other insects. Preservation of those trees that produced a harvest last year and are going to produce this year, and caring for good trees. They need to be trimmed, painted, and treated to remove moss. It is necessary to clear the area of vegetation around them so that they are eliminated, ventilated, and fed. Cutting down not fruitful trees, even if they are young. Over the past year, I have tracked trees that are not producing fruit and now need to be removed. If you count both large and small, there are thousands of them. And taking into account the fact that I cleared the land all last year, the free space gave rise to 1,000 more new trees. Cutting down and uprooting poisonous plants and parasitic plants. If possible, of course, planting fruit and berry bushes for my own harvest. Transplanting good sprouts that hatched after the site was cleared. I constantly find a lot of oaks, maples, and walnut trees. Partly the seeds were lying in the ground and hatched this year. Partly birds do this when they carry the seeds or hide them for the winter. The plan of the land doesn't allow hundreds of such trees to grow on my plot, so selling them. For now, I left a few oaks and fir trees, because another task for the site is design of the site, drawing on the plant heights, vegetation, relief features, designation of buildings, and design communications. I understand that it may seem that on the one hand, I'm in favor of protecting nature, but on the other hand, I'm cutting down trees. But the fact is that random growth doesn't produce a beautiful forest with biodiversity. Thickets contribute to air stagnation, increased humidity, the spread of moss, the proliferation of harmful insects, and the growth of harmful plants. As a result, the forest doesn't develop, but dies. For example, in my previous videos, I showed vines as thick as an arm that took sap from good trees. In addition, I kept track of which plants I was keeping. I haven't destroyed a single valuable tree. In the future, planting will constantly continue. And by the way, if you want to support this, then I suggest you subscribe to my Patreon, and I will plant a tree and name it after you. Yes. The trees that were cut down last year dry out over the fall and winter. So I had to learn how to split woods to turn the huge logs into wood suitable for the stove. If viewers who know how to chop would watch me, they understand that I do it very ineptly and spend much more time and effort than I could. But every skill is acquired gradually. I don't have a stove right now. There is no bathhouse, so for now my woodshed is growing and waiting for me to finally build a bathhouse. If properly stored, firewood will remain of high quality for decades. Of course, when covering them with film, they will deteriorate faster, but for now I have no other option. So on sunny days they dry, and during rain I cover them with film. One of the main tasks for me today is building a fence. The fence provides security both from unscrupulous people and from wild animals. I encounter raw deer every day. They are already accustomed to my being here, but wild animals will be dangerous. Bears, moose, wolves, they are all there. And even if we talk about hares and foxes, then hares will not through trees. I've already seen this on the site. And foxes and wild dogs will steal food. And in general, they carry rabies, which is becoming more relevant due to global warming, since an increase in temperature changes the habitat of animals, as well as animals that carry diseases and viruses. If I had the money to build a fence, then the cutting down of all unnecessary trees would have already been completed, since I could find people to help and not cut down and uproot myself for months, just like last year. Therefore, for now, my whole life is a gradual improvement of the site, routine cutting of trees, their removal for temporary storage, and accumulation of funds to begin new stages of development of the off-road range. Some people say that I took on an area that was too large and difficult for one person to handle. Someone says that I could buy a small plot of land with a small house, or in general, that I could live quietly in the city and not worry about it. Or that I could marry a wealthy man who would provide me financially and help me open a business. But that doesn't interest me. I know what I want to see, and I told my story in the first videos. I want to bring meaning to this world, and I hope that my videos can help inspire someone for hard work, courage, and self-realization. I am waiting for you in the next videos. I will gradually show the next stages of work in. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Range. I wish you all the best and see you soon.